title of this BBC is A Pandemic Pep Talk. I don't know if you need one, but I needed one this morning. So let's get real for a moment. Who in this room is not feeling just a tad anxious about this ongoing pandemic? Be honest. If you're not feeling a little anxious, maybe you're not paying attention. The samsaric curtain has been pulled back to reveal that we don't have the level of control we once imagined we did, that our lives are at the mercy of our collective and individual karma. And countless causes and conditions have brought this situation about. We can't point to any one thing, but many causes and conditions. Not only is there a global pandemic going on around us, but we and those around us continue to age, get sick, die, get what we don't get what we want, we're separated from what we like. Just when we think we're doing okay and handling the pandemic pretty well, then something else arises. Maybe a loved one gets sick, or there's a job loss, a family problem. Something comes and pushes us past our threshold for coping. And most of us have pretty patterned ways of dealing with anxiety that we learned when we were growing up. Some of us go into overfunction, where we might become controlling or trying to micromanage the people and the situations around us. Anybody falling to that side of the extreme? And some of us might go into underfunctioning in anxiety, becoming less capable of performing the usual functions that we do. From a meditator's point of view, we can use each day, each moment, each situation to learn more about ourselves, to learn more about our mind, our habitual responses. This is like the perfect opportunity to develop our practice deeper, to transform our momentary experiences of fear and anxiety and worry. And most important is not to give up on ourselves. We'll have successes, we'll have little failures. We keep going because each one of us has such great potential. We all have awareness, we have wisdom, we have compassion, we have our own individual skillful means. And each day we try to do our best to use our love and our compassion and our wisdom and our skill in the situations that we're presented with. Anxiety as an emotion is highly contagious, whether it's in a family or in a community, a group, in society at large, as we've seen through the media. But if we meet someone else's anxiety with our own anxiety, then the anxiety multiplies. So the good news is that calm is also contagious. We are inextricably connected with each other. And so if we can respond to our own and others' anxiety with some calm, we can positively influence our environment and the people around us. So part of our meditation practice is to learn to bring acceptance to the situations we find ourselves in. You know, this is what's happening, a global pandemic. It's ongoing. We want it to be over. It's still going. As we face these unusual times, it's even more important to remind ourselves to slow down, to pause throughout the day, to become grounded and resourced in our practice, in what we know about the Dharma. And to stay resourced is to return to those practices again and again, those practices that nourish us, that ground us, that support us. So keeping ourselves resourced can be as simple as pausing to notice that we feel tense in our body and to consciously breathe and relax our shoulders. Relax our belly. Relax all the muscles in our face. And to take a few deep calming breaths which reset our nervous system. We can remind ourselves of the motivation that we started our day with here at the Abbey. We start each day by having the intention to not harm ourselves or others with our body, speech, and mind, to benefit each other as much as possible, and to do all the actions that we're engaged with throughout the day with an altruistic bodhicitta motivation. So we can come back to that again and again. And from that place of calm and intentional motivation, that we can be present for what we're presented with, what's happening around us, rather than being pulled or pushed by anxious thoughts or fearful creative writing of what might happen in the future. In addition to calming ourselves with the breath, here are a few reminders that came to my mind from a Buddhist point of view to stay grounded. We can think about how grateful we are to be alive today, to have a precious human rebirth, which is very meaningful for creating virtue, the true causes of happiness. We can rejoice that we have a reliable refuge. We can take refuge, thinking about why we take refuge. We can remind ourselves that this is samsara, and the nature of samsara is often not satisfying or pleasant. It's impermanent, it's unpredictable, it's messy, and so much of it is beyond our control in each moment. We can call to mind Shantideva's great advice: if something can be remedied, why worry? And if something can't be remedied, what's the use of worry? We can make time to study and practice the Dharma, including making time each day for meditation. Sometimes even in a monastery, it's hard to find enough time for meditation. And if possible, we might spend some time in nature or engage in some exercise, make sure we get enough sleep each day so that we do have the resources that we need. And we can commit to identifying and interrupting unhelpful thought patterns as they arise. So we can pause throughout the day to engage in any one of these activities, or maybe other trusted strategies that you find helpful that work for you. The more often we return to grounding practices, the more we can maintain connection to our values and what's most important, and maintain connection with our heart. This will naturally guide us to more wise and compassionate actions. So as we continue negotiating and traversing through this uncharted territory we find ourselves in, then we can take a moment each day and throughout the day to set our intention to pause several times throughout the day, to direct our attention to those things that will help us to stay relaxed and nourished and grounded.